Good afternoon and welcome to the second of our series of MC Huddles leading up to Homecoming 2020, where you'll have a chance to hear firsthand updates about the college and particularly about the upcoming semesters in light of planning for COVID-19. I'm so glad for those of you who are joining us from your own homes and businesses in real time. And I'm also glad to welcome all of you who are watching the recording of this huddle at a later time. Just to note to everyone involved that this session is being recorded and will be available for later viewing. And as a follow-up to that, we're just getting the video ready to upload from our huddle that happened on August 10th that has a whole lot of great information, general information about how the college is approaching COVID-19. So be watching for the links to both of these videos if you want to watch those recordings and find out more. This afternoon, I'm joined by President Michael Schneider and by Chandler Short, our MC Athletic Director. We also have a special guest for this session, Nicole Abunaja, who's an MC student athlete right now. Michael will be sharing a few comments about athletics, and then we'll turn the main conversation over to Chandler and Nicole for this session, which will be MC Athletics for the fall 2020 semester. At any time during this session, you are welcome to submit questions through the question and answer feature. For anyone watching in real time, it will be helpful to the college if you use your real first and last name in your Zoom login. This will be particularly important when you submit questions so that we know who is asking. We'll try to get to as many of these questions as we can in the 15 to 20 minutes after the updates. There may be some questions that we follow up individually about over the next few weeks. Just one more note to those joining in real time, stay on the Zoom to the end of the conversation with your real name, and you'll be entered to win a drawing of an MC prize package that will either ship or drop off in the next week. So Michael, we're looking forward to what you and Chandler and Nicole have to share. Thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Hey, thanks, Monica. So we've just entered the second week of classes at McPherson College. Move-in went really well. I'll tell you, I was on campus late last night, and as I headed home, I noticed there were a lot of students outside going on runs, going on walks. For those of you who are not in central Kansas, you should know that the weather has been nice. It's some days, obviously, as you'll remember, your days on campus can be really warm here in August, but we've had a lot of nice days, and it's been a great year to have nice warm weather so students can spend time outside. I've had a chance to meet with many of our student athletes. Just this last weekend, the softball team came over for their annual opening day scavenger hunt, so they came over in groups of 4 or 5 at a time for the scavenger hunt. I've been to most of our practices. I'm just so proud of all the work that's gone into operating our programs this year. Athletics really is the most controversial part of a college or any school reopening right now. You've been reading about it, and it's really easy for anyone to second guess whether there should be play or not. Trust me that it's very complicated, and it's dependent on the school, the location, and the outbreak situation in the area. And for us, it isn't about things that you see on major college campuses like crowd sizes or travel. Those of you who are here at homecoming games, you've seen the crowd sizes and how we clearly can sort through that. And travel, we have 8 schools that are within an hour of our campus, and there's never, and in a normal year, there aren't overnights. It's really about determining the level of contact in each sport and the risk of exposing our teams to one another and sorting through that. So you should also know that we've been spending hours a week. So just an example, and Chandler will talk a little bit about this. I'm on a weekly call with KCAC presidents, and we've been doing this for the last 3 months, every week, talking through this. We've been following guidance from the conference, the NAIA, Chandler's on the conference COVID task force. Hours and hours and hours of time sorting through what the health and safety protocol looks like. So how do we operate on our campus? And then what if a game or competition looks like? So Chandler's going to share all the details with you today. I just have to tell you, I've been really impressed with our coaches and their willingness to adapt, as well as our students with all the daily check-ins and following all the guidelines. So I'm gonna invite Chandler Short, our director of athletics, come on, as well as Nicole. Where's Nicole? Nicole, you're a regular on these. I'm so excited to have Nicole on this call, representing our student leadership team. And again, we're so lucky to be the beneficiary of Chandler's strong leadership this year. She's going to share more details around the precautions in this athletic year as we sort through the pandemic. So Chandler, I'll leave it to you all to share more of our conversation about fall 2020 athletics.
Perfect. Thanks for that. And like Michael said, I have been serving on the COVID task force for the last 4 months. And over the last 2 months, there's been a weekly KCAC athletic director meeting each week. And so again, there has been hours and hours been put in throughout the conference trying to figure out what we can do. And so the group of the COVID task force has been comprised of presidents, athletic directors, and most importantly, our athletic trainers. And we've been working through what contingency plans would look like, all of our safety protocols, and also what the competition guidelines are going to look like for fall 2020. And so I'll share a few of those updates to help you get a better picture of what fall 2020 in athletics will look like. So first, I want to talk about the schedules. And with all of our fall schedules, NAI did make the decision to move all of the fall championships to the spring. And so the KCAC really, when that announcement was made, we decided with a split season approach. And so I'll go through each fall sport and kind of talk about that approach and what that's going to look like at McPherson College. And so with every schedule, there is a conference focus. And so like Michael said, we are probably one of the only conferences that has the travel that we do, with 8 of our other institutions within an hour of us. So we have a really great travel schedule within our conference, and there will be limited non-conference games throughout the fall. So with football, this approach of a split season allows for 3 dates in November to be left open for makeup dates or potential contingency plans. And so we will have 3 dates in November that are set aside, that if there is disruption, we will make up those games that need to be postponed. But if there is no disruption, we will go ahead and play out the fall season as it was announced. And so there will be 2 dates in the spring that are reserved for competitions. And so that will have a split season approach. And they did announce those games are probably going to be played in March for the football games that would need to be played in the spring. But again, majority of our football games will be played in the fall, and we will leave 3 dates in November to make those up, or if needed, for those postponed games. So with soccer, starting on September 5th, it is a split season approach as well, allowing for 2 dates in November to be set aside for makeup dates to help teams complete their games with disruption. And again, if there's no disruption, we will continue to move forward. But I will add that with all of our fall schedules, they have been moved mostly to Saturdays. So that is really helping our students stay in class, and it is really academic friendly with all of the adjustments we've made for most competitions being taken place on Saturday. So there will not be any soccer midweeks. All of these competitions will be played on Saturday. So for volleyball, this split season approach, volleyball is probably the most creative in this split season approach, as they will be doing triangulars. So there will be 6 dates in the fall that will compete, and there will be 6 dates in the spring. And so within those dates, starting September 26th, there will be 3 conference schools competing on 1 date. And so this allows for the 6 dates, limited exposure in the fall, and then the 6 dates in the spring. And so again, the conference tournament, which a lot of you have attended, and Hutch will be played in the spring. It will not be played in the fall. Cross country. So cross country is the one that we are competing all in the fall. They did have a limited schedule, and it is important to keep this one in the fall due to the complexity of indoor track and field and outdoor track and field. A lot of those student athletes are dual sport, and so they do compete in outdoor track and field. And with cross country training, it was really important to make sure that they get all of that training done in the fall, so that when they are competing nationally, they've had the appropriate training. So cross country was the less affected fall sport with the decision by the NAI. And so I do want to add this in here because I think this is the next big question as we've got all of our fall schedules set is winter sports. And so there has been no modifications currently to the winter sport seasons. I know our basketball coaches have been working through contingency plans, what that looks like. And so they've been working with their sport chairs on that. And hopefully that'll be announced soon if there is modifications to winter sports. So that's the next thing that this COVID task force and our coaches are working on is basketball and what we'll be doing there with our season. So the next thing I want to cover is kind of the health and safety. And so over the last couple of weeks, I have been meeting with every sport program, and I actually got to meet with Nicole in women's basketball yesterday, and so she's going to get to hear this again. But there's a lot of new protocols and precautions that we're taking in athletics, and a lot of this is driven by the KCAC and NAI, and we are following all of the protocol that they're allowing students to do. So the first one I want to address is daily health evaluations, and so each program is required to do a daily screening for any team event. So this is practice, this is a meeting, this is weight training, this is conditioning. Every student athlete will be screened. And when I'm talking about screening, I'm talking about temperature taking. There's about 14 questions we go through with every student athlete before they take part in that team event. And again, every student athlete is willing and ready to do all these extra steps before we have to compete. And so that's been really good. But that's something that we will be doing is any team event, anytime the teams is together, they will be screened. And so for competition, both teams will have to go through a pre-competition health screening at the home site. So before teams leave, they will be screened by their athletic trainers. But if we're hosting, let's say, a volleyball try, our athletic training staff will screen our team and every team competing at that site on that day. And so again, that's going to be the same thing that the NAI is providing. That's going to be temperature checks, the 14 questions, and that data is going directly to the NAI and KCAC as we continue to make decisions on whether games happen, but that goes directly to them. And so if there are student athletes that are exhibiting symptoms, both athletic directors will work with the conference commissioner to decide if that game is going to be played. And so again, we're giving a lot of flexibility with the athletic directors. We have a really good group that we trust each other. We've been working with each other for the last 4 months on all this, and we're going to be really use our best judgment on if games are being played after we do those screenings by our athletic trainers. And so, but there will be lots of screening, and Nicole will attest this. It's a part of what we do now, and that's the new way of operating in athletics. And so there will be competition screening, and so that's where I will end on that. The last thing, I think this is the biggest thing, and there will be more released about this later this week, but it's fan experience. And so we do love, I know I see some people on the call that frequently attend our athletic events, and we still want you to attend our athletic events, and we're going to have the opportunity to do that this year. And so it will look different. There will be masks, and there will be social distance, and we will have different capacity levels for the stadium and the sports center, but we are just really grateful and working with our health department and the KCAC that we are allowed to have fans at our athletic events this year. And so, but all events will be live streamed on McPhersonCollege.com Bulldogs, and there will be specific information shared later this week with the release of our fan engagement. So that's kind of the update I have on the new COVID procedures in athletics, but I do want to take a second to talk about a couple of things that are happening in the athletic department outside of COVID. I mean, we've been so focused on this throughout the summer that I want to highlight some things that we're working on as well. And so Tony Segovia, our head women's softball coach, and Brian Moses, our baseball coach, have taken on additional responsibilities, administration responsibilities in the athletic department this year. And so they've They've taken on some opportunities in internal operations, and as well as our game day. And so we really, I've been excited to work with them over the last few months that they've been transitioning into this role, and we're really excited they're going to be a part of helping this year. We have a lot of student athletes that are participating in the DEP project. And so coaches have done a really good job about getting our students engaged across campus, but also a lot of our coaches use this in the recruiting process. And so getting them engaged and in the right information, getting them the right information in the recruiting process. They've done a really good job at that, but I don't know the exact number, but I know a lot of our student athletes are participating in the DEP project, and that's Jeremy has done a great job with getting our athletic opportunities into Handshake, and so we are hiring those students working in the DEP project in our job positions in athletics. Recruitment for 21 has already started with early commitments in multiple programs, and so I know just the work our coaches did during the middle of the pandemic in March was beyond. I mean, enrollment was up, and how we recruited online, virtually, with social media. I mean, they've done a really good job, and it's just really good to see that they're continuing that work, and we do have early commitments for 21. And so, again, throughout our weekly meetings and with coaches and how I've been meeting with programs over the last couple of weeks, we're going to need each other more than ever. And I think Nicole will touch on this in a few minutes, but every coach in this department is committed to making sure that every student athlete gets a season, and every student athlete is going to be committed to making sure we all have a season. And again, the work and the preparation over the summer, that's what's going to set us apart. Our coaches have done the work to be creative with what practices look like and what weight room looks like, and it's all going to look different, but that's what's going to set us apart from others in the KCAC, and that's what's going to allow our student athletes to be competing longer, be on the field longer, and hopefully be finishing out our fall seasons. And so I'd like for Nicole to kind of share her experiences on what the last few months have looked like and how we've introduced the new way of operating in athletics.
Thanks, Chandler. So as a member of the women's basketball team here at MAC, we've been communicating through weekly Zoom meetings. We talk about what our practice schedule will look like and how the sports center is going to be different with the COVID-19 precautions that we're taking. So like while things still look different, the quality of our workouts and our meetings and our practices are all the same. So we're just taking the precautions to do so. So like, for example, like Chandler mentioned, she came to our team meeting yesterday and we all got screened by Coach Nick. He took our temperature, asked us the 14 questions, we answered, and we were all wearing our masks. We did this meeting in person just because it's still important to know who your teammates are. We haven't all met each other yet, so this is the first time. We went to the sports center classroom, and in there we practiced social distancing, so certain chairs were marked off and we were allowed to sit directly next to each other. So, I mean, it looks different, but it's just to ensure that we can all safely compete this season. And to me personally, the season is really important to me because this is my fourth and final year at MAC. So as a senior, I know it's really, really important that all student athletes buy in and are committed to the health and safety plans that were implemented by the athletics department here. And I know like fall sports are about to start up, so I'm really excited to see us compete and, you know, hopefully get a couple banners on the gym walls. I know basketball, we want to hang our first one up, so I'm just really excited for what this year has to hold.
And I, again, just want to echo what Nicole has said. And again, as I've been meeting with all the fall program, it's been really good to see all of our student athletes kind of accept this challenge. I mean, we're doing things differently. There's a different hoops we have to jump through. There's extra time added to practices so we can get these screenings done. But every one of them is committed to making this work, and that's what we need. And our coaches are supporting them, but they're supporting each other, and that's the best thing we're seeing right now is they're holding each other accountable, and they really do want to make this thing work, and they're committed to making that work. So.
Let's, Chandler and Nicole, let's go ahead and bring Monica back on and see what questions. I see there's a few questions in the Q&A that Monica can pitch out there to us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for what you've been sharing. We have a good group that's gathered, and I'll remind everyone on the Zoom call that you're welcome to submit questions through the Q&A function, and we'll be working through a few of those right now. So Carol Swenson has a couple of questions, one of them that's sort of about athletics in general. And Chandler, I'm going to pitch this one to you. If an athlete tests positive for COVID-19, what does the return to play competition for that athlete look like?
Sure. And so that is going to happen on a case by case basis, obviously, with what we're learning. But we have worked with our team doctor with Salina Regional, and we have returned a return to play, and that is going to be comprised of our team doctor, both athletic trainers, the head coach, myself, and the student athlete. So there's a team of about 6 of us that will return and plan what this is going to look like. But it's what we've decided right now. It's going to be 6 days minimum as a return to play, because there will be another acclimation period we'll have to go through. But right now there's a 6-day period that we'll start off with our student athletes. But again, we're going to take guidance from our team doctor on what that looks like case by case with each student athlete.
Excellent. Thank you. That sounds like a good plan in the works. And so both Carol and Andrea have specific questions about sports. So I'm going to pitch those to you as well. And these are actually both about cross country. Will the KCAC cross country champions from the fall season be the qualifiers for the NAIA National Championship in the spring?
Yes, Carol. So and we will hold the KCAC championship in the fall for cross, and those student athletes, individual and teams, will qualify for the NAIA championship in the spring. Yes.
Perfect. And then Andrea says that her son said that fans aren't allowed at the first cross country meet. Is that true?
So that was a decision we made just for the cross country meet. This is a new course where we've established out at Bulldog Park, and so with the complexity of that, we are allowing it to only conference teams, but we have asked that no spectators attend that first meet, just with this being the first athletic competition, and we're really focused on the runners.
Yeah, thank you. Wayne Conyers asked a question, and I think I'm going to hand this one to Michael. How are you specifically defining a disruption related to changes in schedules?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And so disruption can mean a lot of things. So you got to remember that although we have a lot of schools kind of here in central Kansas, and some are more affected and less affected than the pandemic, it could be that we're prepared to play, but University of St. Mary in Northeast Kansas or Friends in Wichita isn't able to play us. And so we would either play later in the fall when it's safe to play or not. The other piece is to remember that that every sport's a little bit different, and it could be that. And by the way, a question came up: do we have any cases on campus? We do not have any COVID cases on campus. I'm really happy to say that students are being very careful, and if they have any symptoms that are not normal for them, they're going into self-quarantining. We're testing, so on and so forth. And so, and we haven't had any exposures at this point where we've had to like quarantine big groups at this point. And so things so far, people are really, like Nicole said, our students, not just our student athletes, but all of our students or employees are taking this health and safety guidelines very, very seriously. And so I will tell you that disruption can mean a lot of things. It could be a case. It could be folks get to the game and there's, it could be flu and not COVID, and they're sick, and we don't play the game because any kind of sickness this year is going to create disruption. So again, I'm really happy to say that the presidents in the conference and the ADs are first committed to safety. And so taking away overnight travel, condensing this into primarily conference games, and then working it sport by sport and really having a process to get to where we can play is what's really important. But the disruption could mean a positive case. It could be there's just active cases on a college campus, and we don't feel safe playing them, and they don't feel safe putting their team out there and spreading the disease. And so disruption really can look like many things. And so that's why the season's been spread out. And again, if if the pandemic in multiple areas, the disease spread increases significantly, it gives us the flexibility to say, you know what, we're just going to move the fall sports into the spring if we need to. So the ADs and Chandler's work on this COVID task force really did a nice job giving us flexibility to be able to play when it's safe, but also to call timeout 10 minutes before a game and not affect, forfeitures and all that type of stuff. And we move it. So anyway, good question.
Yeah, great questions. Please keep them coming. We have another question from Augie Hurt, and Augie asks, and I think probably Chandler, I'll turn this one over to you. Do athletes in all sports have to wear masks while competing?
So there will be regular mask wearing at practice, but while they're actively in the drill or competing, they will not be wearing a mask. But as soon as they are not participating in the drill, on the sideline, going to and from practice, there will be regular mask wearing. And so we do have some student athletes that feel more comfortable competing in a mask, and so they will be wearing a mask while they're practicing, but it's not required while you're actively competing in the drill or practice.
Thanks, Chandler. Nicole, we have a question from here in the room, if you're willing. We're just wondering, what do you think the biggest challenges for the upcoming athletic season are going to be for you as a student athlete?
Me personally, as a student athlete, I think the most challenging thing would probably be things that we can't control. Here at McPherson, I mean, we've talked about the health and safety plan. We've been talking about it for the past 4 to 5 months, updating community and all new and returning students. So we can control what we can do here, but we don't know what's going to happen in Wichita. That's something that is out of our hands, or even York, Nebraska, things like that. So it's really important that we know what we can do here to ensure that we're safe. Those teams can come here and we can go there. But the challenges would just be the things that are out of our hands.
Absolutely. Well, one question that I'm going to turn over to Michael is that the Groves are wondering, do we have record enrollment?
Yes. Great question. We do. For the 4th year in a row, we have a record number of full-time and FTE students on our campus and a record number of new students. So even in a pandemic, students want to be on our campus as we're able safely. So we have over 301 we have just over 300 new students, just short of 800 total full-time students. And I can't thank leaders like Chandler, students like Nicole, our faculty who have really done a nice job social distancing classrooms, ensuring that students are wearing masks in the classroom, hybrid learning. So we have the flexibility for students to keep learning when they're not able to be in the classroom. It's just been fantastic, all the way down to what residential life looks like. All the things I talked about in our last session a couple weeks ago, those things are being executed. Again, it's not perfect, but my observation is when I look out on campus and I go to the dining hall, which you all know we need a new dining hall and we need to expand. And Eric Vogel's on here working hard to lead us to raise that money for the new campus center, that we need that. But students and administrators and leaders and everybody in between have been working really, really hard to, like Nicole said, it's all about following this health and safety protocol that this campus is following to the letter set by the CDC. And it's really important. And the observation is, again, it's not perfect. And there's a few reminders here and there, and people will forget to wear a mask from time to time, but it's not very often. And I think our big challenge is going to be with all these students. And as we move through, and if we have disruption, keeping folks engaged and while we're sort of isolated is going to be a challenge. And remembering that once become comfortable around each other, we create our own bubbles, that we have to continue to be safe and continue to wear masks and stay distant when appropriate. That we're just going to have to, it's going to be a a constant type of scenario that I think that's going to be the next big challenge. Is once we get comfortable, how do we continue to be socially connected? So.
Well, if you just want to take a moment more, your comments sparked a comment or a question from Joyce Wallace, who asks, how long is the typical wait line for meals under the new food service?
It's been a bit of a challenge. And I've been over there several times. And again, it depends on what time. So we finally have, I think we've got the dining hall worked out. Students at any point, I think the carry away is not as big of a challenge as the in-room dining. Right now, students make reservations during 30-minute increments. I think it's gone a lot better. Nicole, I don't know if you want to say anything to it. First couple days, it was kind of getting used to, and it was a bit of a challenge, but I think we've worked into it. So I think most students aren't having a problem with being able to get in and out in 30 minutes without it being too much of a rush. Nicole, you want to?
Yeah, I'd love to add to that. I mean, my personal experience, so we have the upstairs where you can dine in, socially distance, of course. And then we have the downstairs option, which is really good for me because, internship, work, practice, I just got to get the food and leave. And I haven't seen a problem with it, but I kind of go at times where it's slower, but I'm in and out within like 3 minutes. But I think the process is really good. You just scan in, get your food, and sit down and eat.
Thank you both. That's a great glimpse onto campus. So we have another question from Augie. If an event is postponed due to an illness at another location, will MC Athletics have an inter-squad event to keep them in shape on the same day at home? And I'll direct that one to Chandler.
Sure. And again, our coaches have done a really good job preparing practice protocols and for situations like this, that what our teams will do if we're not able to compete. And so not sure if it'll be the same day or what that can look like, but our coaches are prepared to make sure our student athletes are staying in shape if we aren't able to play a competition.
Perfect. We've come to the end of the questions that have been submitted. And so just if you still have a question, feel free to enter that. But I'm going to turn it back to Michael for any closing comments, or if you want to invite Chandler and Nicole into some closing thoughts before we finish up.
Yeah, I'll say a couple things, and then I'll let Chandler and Nicole shut this down, Monica. So thanks, Monica, for arranging these. We appreciate those of you who are on live and those of you who chose to watch. There's a couple things that I'll share. One, I can't tell you how proud I am of Chandler serving McPherson College this last year. I mean, in her first year as our director of athletics, you wouldn't know it. The way she's led our coaches through what is turning into clearly the most challenging year of our careers. It's just been phenomenal, and it's not perfect. And I'll remind you that we can't take all of the risk out of any part of our lives. And so as we work through this, please send us your thoughts and your good wishes. Those are really appreciated as we start to sort through what this looks like, because, and I've said this a lot, we recognize that everybody is accepting this situation at different paces and in different ways. And so our approach really has been to offer patience to folks who are struggling because they want it so bad and they want to get out there, and to offer grace to those who are nervous and anxious because of everything that this pandemic has kind of thrown in our face. And so I just have to tell you that, I've been really anxious about athletics and what this looks like. And Chandler and those coaches, they have really united to provide an experience for our students, whether they're able to play no games or all of their games this year. They provide an experience for those students. I never would have thought we would have gotten here when we started planning for this in May. So thank you to Chandler and Nicole. Thank you for your strong leadership with your teammates and and the model that you are for the rest of our students. They wear their mask because you wear yours. They behave in a certain way because that's how you behave. And we're so lucky to have, you on our campus, Nicole. And I can't wait to watch you play here in a few months. So Chandler and Nicole, let you all have the last word.
No, I'll just add in things quickly. I think the biggest thing what we've learned in all this is communication is key. And I know a lot of you follow our social media. You're a part of our email communication. So we will be over communicating on what games look like, if there are changes, to make sure you're all informed and to keep you all updated, because you are our biggest fans and we want you at our athletic events, and just to make sure that we're communicating things as we know them, and just to make sure that you've got that information from us firsthand. And so we will be communicating things as we get guidance on that. And so again, I just want to thank everybody for today, and Monica for putting this together. This has been great, and I love to get in front of everybody and give updates on athletics. And we're a week away from that first cross country meet, and we're excited, and I know our student athletes are excited. And again, like I said, as I've been meeting with our program, it has been so good to see all of our student athletes back. And again, they're ready to do the work. Our coaches are ready to do the work, and I'm excited to see how this thing goes. And so again, Nicole, I'll let you share.
Well, first, I want to say thank you to everyone for the opportunity. Super blessed to be able to represent the athletic department and student athletes on campus. I just wanted to give a little specifics. When we talk about over communicating, it can never be a bad thing, because when we have our weekly Zoom meetings, Coach Nichols will tell us stuff, and it just stuff in the air. We can't even put a date on it, but to me, it's good to know, to be in the loop, that the conversation is still going. We're still talking about protocol and things like that. And personally, yesterday, we were doing runs in open gym, and I'm watching all my teammates sprint down and back 7 times in a row. Then they get off, and I'm telling you, immediately they put their masks on. They're breathing heavily in their mask. And that just shows to me, because I was anxious. I mean, I come from Arizona, and things are a little bit different over there. So I saw how it wasn't handled very well, and I came here, and just knowing that people are buying in, settled my nerves definitely. So again, I'm very excited for fall sports, winter sports, and spring sports to compete.
Wonderful. Well, I will thank you all again for joining us. You've heard that from everybody so far, but thanks to all of the alumni and friends that have joined us for this call. And we are receiving some words of thanks through the question and answer for all of our panelists. So for Michael, Chandler, and Nicole, thank you for what you've been willing to share this afternoon, and all the work that you've put into being ready to give our athletes a great experience, no matter what that looks like here for fall 2020. I'll invite our alumni and friends to join us for the rest of the fall series of MC Huddles. You'll be receiving emails as reminders to join these upcoming sessions, so you don't need to be frantically writing this down right now. But on Wednesday, September 16th, Michael will be joined by Christy Hopkins to share an update about student life and recruitment. And we will certainly know more now at that date than we know now, just like we know more now than we did when we had our first session on August 10th. We'll wrap up the series of huddles on Friday, October 2nd at noon, and that's going to be a special homecoming huddle with Michael and some special guests. So that can get us all in the spirit of homecoming, whether you're going to be coming to campus to watch some of these athletic contests, or whether you're just going to join some of the virtual events for homecoming this year. I'm going to take just a moment to share a few links that will help you stay connected. And this all has to do with that communication cycle that both Chandler and Nicole have brought up. So you can find updates about Homecoming 2020 on the website by visiting mcpherson.edu/homecoming. We are excited to include our whole MC community to this unique homecoming. And you'll start to see that we have the schedule coming together for some live events, but a lot of video releases of some fun ways that you can stay connected to MC. So look that up and register for the events that are appropriate for you. You can follow all of the campus updates related to COVID-19, and this was what the last huddle had a lot more to do with. You can visit the COVID section of the McPherson College website at www.mcpherson.edu/COVID. And we so appreciate your support all of the time, but especially at this time. 2 specific ways that you can be helping us most right now. You can share names of potential students, especially student athletes, who you think would be a good fit to attend McPherson College in the next several years. You can find a simple form on the alumni page of the website, www.mcpherson.edu/alumni, to share those names, or you can throw those names to Chandler or to myself or to Michael or to Eric. Also on the website, you'll find an easy link to share a financial donation with the college. These dollars directly support our students by ensuring great experiences in our classrooms, dorms, on the athletic fields, through clubs and organizations, and for all aspects of student life. So thanks again for joining us. And I'm gonna stop the share. And now those of you who are on in real time, Eric Vogel has his very, very important job ahead of him. He's gonna draw to figure out who wins the MC prize package. So Eric, I'm looking to you. Who's the winner today? And our winner is Emma Pereira from the class of 92, and she's joining us just from down the street. So Emma, I think we'll drop off a prize package to you very soon. So thank you all. For those of you who have shared on this call, thank you for the great questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you in September for the next huddle. Bye.